Hello and welcome. I'm Giovanni Hall Art, and today's going to be working on this fan art drawing of Rosalina. I watched Super the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and I really enjoyed it. Pretty to say otherwise, but I thought it was pretty good for what it is. I just thought I'm gonna do some fan art for it. So yeah, we have a chill session. Just gonna work on it, fix proportion and stuff, and go from there. Just some things I'm gonna work on, like the feet, some of the upper body and stuff. So I'm just gonna clean this up, and then hopefully the next stream we'll be doing cleanup lines, water lines, and then coloring and painting it. All right, let's get to it. Also, I'll be listening to a podcast by Ron Vanga for my YouTube and Twitch streamers. Unfortunately for TikTok at this moment, I can't play. It seems like playing any video from YouTube will get your live restricted. So until then, I find a solution. I might have to do no audio for that, but you can hear my voice. I'll interact with the chat. Yeah, let's get into it. So if you hear me talking about something, because I'm watching listening to a stream. All right, let's go.
Bada bing, bada boo.
6 p.m. in Kotzebue, Alaska. It means absolutely nothing because in Kotzebue, it's always either very bright or always very dark. That's really not a metaphor. This is not something deeper. It's always either sunny all day long until you drive yourself crazy at
All
night
right, let's
because you need to
go.
block out any light that's coming in through the window so that you can fall asleep at 11 p.m. Or you get 3 hours of sunlight
All
the
right.
entire day and then you just live in perpetual darkness. There is no middle ground like most places. To give you a point of reference, in New York City during the summer, you get about 14 hours of sunlight. During the winter, you get closer to 10 hours of sunlight. But it is pretty standard. Usually during the winter, the sun sets at 5 p.m. During the summer, it's closer to 8 p.m. That's not what happens in Kotzebue. Kotzebue is above the Arctic Circle, which means the winters are almost pitch black all night, all day long.
That's
Wait, it's in
crazy.
the US?
Yeah, in Alaska.
Oh, okay.
It's actually closer to Russia than it is to Anchorage, Alaska. It's very interesting. Now, the area north of the Arctic Circle is probably only about 4% of the Earth's entire surface. And all you really need to know is that if you live above the Arctic Circle, things like daytime, nighttime, it doesn't mean anything. During the wintertime, it feels like Kotzebue has some sort of dread countdown that starts in September. September starts, you wake up, sun rises at noon,
Or fix the
11:57 a.m.
hair.
Noon, when half the workday is already over for most of everybody else. And
Or
then the
fix
sun
that
sets
hair.
before you're even out of the office at 3:21 p.m. Barely 3 hours and 24 minutes of actual sun. But that's not even the worst of it. Each day of early December, shave off another 5 to 7 minutes of daylight. In Kotzebue, the shortest day of the year is December 21st. Sun rises just right around 1 p.m. and sets at 2:39 p.m.
Oh.
You get 2 hours and 5 minutes of sunlight, and that's it. And also, this is not 2 hours of high UV, go outside and just get blessed with the vitamin D, just blasting in the summer sun. That's not what it is. The sun does not go more than a few degrees over the horizon, so it feels like a very eerie 2 hour long golden hour, and then it's just gone. And sometimes it's not even just pitch black. There's a lot of residents, they say that they actually prefer pitch blackness in the winter, but they have these hours that they call blue hours. And everything is like a really haunting, intense, saturated blue. It's not bright, it's not dark, but it's just like everything is a blue tint. During the winter, Alaskans have a term called big dark. It's just like a heavy weight that you feel during the wintertime. Even though there might not be anything inherently wrong, you just feel like everything is wrong. It's likely due to the melatonin production in the body. And serotonin also crashes when there's less light input. So you have surging melatonin, falling serotonin, and Alaska has one of the highest rates of seasonal depression in the entire country. Someone who moved to a town north of the Arctic Circle thought, it's gonna be easy. It's gonna be easy to acclimate because, quote, I knew it would take some time to acclimate for it, but I thought I prepared. I love the cold. I love the dark. I've always wanted to go somewhere dark and cold because I feel like I would thrive in this climate. I was dead wrong. I did not realize how much humans rely on light and dark cycles. I've tried to become more physically active by going on daily walks and taking all my vitamin D supplements, but my mind is beyond fucked. And then the minute that you adjust, it's time for summer. Starting in May, Kotzebue suddenly never gets dark. The sun rises at 5:53 a.m. and then it sets at midnight.
Damn.
You have nearly 18 hours of
Interesting.
sunlight. Well, that's just the beginning. Eventually, the sun is going to be up for close to 23 hours.
That is crazy
Seriously?
to be living
Yes.
in a place
Seriously?
And when that, 23
Why are
hours of
you
the
sleeping
24
in the
hours,
car?
that doesn't mean that you have that 1 hour
Crazy.
of
Why are
like
you sleeping in-
pitch darkness. It never really transitions into dark either. So it just always feels like daytime. And that is when a call is made to 911. 6 p.m., May 2018. 911 gets a call in Katsubiu that someone might be dead.
5:30, we're north of the alleyway, 51st Street.
2 officers from the local police department, they drive up to the house in question. They walk up to the front door, and it doesn't really strike them as the
That's
type of house where
interesting.
something bad is happening inside. They swing open the front door. It's open. And in the living room, there are 2 small children watching SpongeBob on the TV. It's kind of like a weird feeling. One of the officers gets one of the kids' attention. Did someone call the police? One of the young boys points to the bedroom door. Okay, very strange. The officers start walking closer to the door in question. It's partially open, and when they peer in, there is a man holding a woman's body. This man is
Sorry about
covered
that.
in blood. His clothes are soaked in blood. His arms, his pants, any part of this man named Anthony that the police can see, there is blood coating Anthony. And the woman that he's holding is this small 25-year-old Inupiaq indigenous woman. She's in a fetal position. There's this 22 caliber rifle laying nearby, and the officers glance around and they do notice blood splatter on the floor, the dresser, mattress, blankets. There's even a few plastic totes on the ground nearby that's covered in blood splatter. She's been shot under her chin. Her name is Jennifer Kirk, and she's now dead. The man holding her body, Anthony, he speaks up first. He's her boyfriend. He says he was in the living room watching SpongeBob with the 2 kids when he heard this pop sound go off. It sounded like a firework inside the bedroom. So he runs in, he finds her on the ground bleeding heavily from her head. Quote, "I have no idea what happened." The investigators, they place Jennifer's body into a body bag to transport to the medical examiner's office. That bag is sealed with a tag number 00-10959.
That's
The
crazy.
investigators, they notice a few things. I mean, first they pull out a tape measure. They measure the rifle from the tip of the barrel. So this is where the bullet comes out. It exits the gun at that point. And then the tip of the trigger, not the handle, not the other end of the gun, the trigger. You need to press this for the gun to fire. It is 27 1/8 inches long. And then they measure Jennifer's arm. Jennifer's arm is 26 inches and 3/16 inches long. Her arm is shorter than the trigger to the barrel. Her arm is shorter than the gun, but they believe she self-exited. Then at the morgue, as the medical examiner unseals the body bag, number 00-10959, they notice red markings around Jennifer Kirk's neck, and there's clear handprints around her neck. So Jennifer Kirk did not just sustain a fatal gunshot wound, she was strangled before she died. The investigators, they do not ask the next obvious questions. Instead, they close the case within 1 day of investigating, and they state that Jennifer Kirk sadly, tragically self-exited. They don't ask the man Anthony to test his hands or his clothes for gunshot residue. They don't look into his past because he has a past record of abuse and SA. They barely question him. They don't canvass the neighborhood. They don't interview anyone that might know something. They also don't go into the house and turn it upside down, searching every square inch for any sort of evidence. Because after all, it would be kind of weird to search the mayor's house, right? Anthony Richards, the man covered in blood, is the son of Clement Richards Sr., the mayor of the Northwest Arctic Bureau. How could a mayor's son ever turn out to be a killer? And even if they find another body in that house 2 years after Jennifer Kirk, do they really need to do something about it?
The way you see an
It's
idea
kind of
in a
interesting
moment,
when you think about it.
the way you describe
Let's
it
get
to a
this.
friend.
You ever notice that sometimes in like these smaller towns, where I was gonna pause that video for a second. You notice that in these smaller towns, where there's like one family or that's really dominant is like controls the town. How they get away with so much stuff. So it makes me wonder how many small towns are there where there's like people like towns you wouldn't even pay attention, you just pass by it. Like you guys know what I mean. It's not like a major city. where it's like mayors and stuff, or it's like the county or a small town, and the police and everyone knows everybody. Like everybody knows everybody. Makes me wonder how many small towns where shady stuff has happened just because who runs the town or the connections they have, it gets overlooked until it gets brought to light by social media or something. It was interesting to think about. There's like a lot of small towns you don't realize there's like one or two families that are dominant and they control everything. Like for example, that one case with the where it said that girl killed her boyfriend that was a cop. It turns out there's some other shady stuff going on. Well, makes you wonder. I guess it's easier to control more things in a smaller town than a big one. Oh, thanks for likes. Appreciate that. For those wondering what I'm talking about, TikTok is very aggressive with playing content that's not yours in the background, even music. So I have a stream on Twitch and YouTube playing a true crime podcast. You guys can hear my voice, so that's okay. Thanks for the likes. Appreciate that. Alright, back to our drawing. I'm just slowly cleaning it up and fixing up proportions and stuff on this. Make it pretty.
We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support the Manilac Association. They are an indigenously operated nonprofit that provides high quality, culturally relevant health, social, and tribal services in the Northwest Arctic Bureau. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team, and we would also like to thank you guys for your continued support. I will say that there is this huge expose done with ProPublica and Anchorage Daily News with the journalist Kyle Hopkins. It's so informative. They went and they spoke to so many people in town.
Fix this
They
up.
did investigative boots on the ground, investigative work, and it's just a great piece of journalism. So please go take a look at that. With that being said, today's case involves mentions of self-exit, DV, gun violence. However, the biggest thing to be aware of, it involves missing and murdered Indigenous peoples. There's going to be especially sensitive conversations about institutional racism, systemic neglect, police negligence, misconduct, prosecutorial
Clean this up
failures.
some more. Let's
So
get rid of that.
please, if you feel overwhelmed,
I want to
take a
fix
break, and I
this
will see you
up
in the
here.
next one. Statements and quotes have been condensed for brevity. Everything researched for this video was found publicly available, and netizen comments, statements, speculations, and accusations are not our own and are only mentioned for comprehensive reporting. So with that being said, nobody has been charged, but I have my opinions. Being a political figure is all about how you deal with a scandal. Almost all the time, it's a scandal that is caused by their own actions, but nevertheless, it is how they bounce back from the scandal. It's not even about the scandal itself. Sometimes it requires you take the shit that is thrown at you for good reason. You deserve shit thrown at you. But then you take it and you throw it back at somebody else. You think I'm bad? Go look at that person. Did you see what they said? Sometimes it's all about ignore the giant elephant in the room. You ignore it so much that everybody else gets used to the elephant being in the room. It's like how you forget how to blink or breathe because you're just always doing it. You're always breathing and blinking without addressing it. So everyone forgets that the elephant is in there. And then once in a while, someone will walk into the press room and go, holy shit, there's an elephant in here. And everyone go, forgot about the fucking elephant. Or sometimes the comeback requires going to jail and serving your time. It feels like most mayors have their scandal at some point in their careers. Are you really a politician if you're not probably in the Epstein files? Former mayor of DC, Marion Barry, thankfully not in the Epstein files. I will say that this is historically one of the biggest mayoral scandals, and this is not me saying that this is like the worst thing a mayor has done. It's just historically known as a massive mayor's scandal. It's the crack scandal. And I will say, for all that Marion Barry and all that he did that was kind of bad, okay, because most and all mayors seem to be bad. There always is some level of corruption. The standard is all mayors are bad. Some just do a little bit more good than bad for their own citizens.
Thanks for
It
likes.
does need to
Appreciate
be
that,
noted
guys.
that Marion Barry had some very bad streaks. Marion Barry was the former Washington, D.C. mayor, and he was known as the Chocolate King of the Chocolate City. They called it the Chocolate City. And he did, I will say, like, people love Marion, but he was known for having a lot of hot takes. He offended Polish Americans by calling them a slur. He then stated that he would like to, quote, do something about these Asians coming in, opening businesses, those dirty shops, they ought to go.
That's crazy.
These Asians coming in, open up business, these little dirty shops, and they ought to go. Understood that right now.
Then he offended Filipino Americans by pointing out that there's so many nurses immigrating from the Philippines into the United States to, save lives. And he says, and no offense, but let's grow our own teachers. Let's grow our own nurses so that we don't have to be scrounging around in our community clinics and other kinds of places, having to hire people from somewhere else. So he managed, to piss off a lot of communities, but he loved his own people, and for that, a lot of people just could not fault him. As mayor of DC, he increased the share of government contracts awarded to Black-owned businesses from 5% to 40%. He also required private
we need to-
corporations doing businesses in Washington, D.C. to appoint women and minorities to leadership positions. One tribute about Barry's work says, quote, single-handedly expanded the Black middle class in DC and created a generation of Black millionaires in a time when economic and cultural segregation was rampant. He was also notorious for driving around the city, and if he saw someone on the street, he'd be like, do you have a job? And they would say no, and they'd get a job by the afternoon. He wanted everyone to have a job. Yeah.
Wow.
That's
I would
interesting.
hope that his discriminatory remarks against Asians, Polish people, I hope it was a big learning moment for him, a moment of growth. But regardless, he won re-election countless times. And regardless of these remarks, he just keeps getting elected. And he honestly did change the trajectory of so many families' lives, probably with generational impact. Ultimately, Mary and Barry
We
did
need
a
to
lot of
fix
good.
this
But then he
proportion.
smoked crack. And this was a huge thing. So for years, federal investigators, they've
funny.
been trying to get Barry on something. You have to wonder if it's almost like they chose their target and they're just waiting for something to come up so that they could take Marion Barry down.
That's
They didn't
kinda
like
funny.
that a Black Democrat kept winning mayor for Washington, D.C.
When was this?
Oh,
That's
this was
funny.
a long time ago, decades ago. He's since passed.
Okay.
But this is probably one of the biggest mayoral scandals that there ever was. This is back when mayors did regular crimes of corruption and drugs, and now they do Epstein crimes.
That's
So,
crazy.
they get Mayor Barry's ex-girlfriend to come in, the feds, the FBI.
That is crazy.
And she's also under pressure. The FBI are being overwhelmingly nice to her. And she agrees to set up a hotel room outfitted with 2 secret cameras, courtesy of the FBI. And just 3 days before Mayor Barry is going to announce that he's going to run for mayor for the 4th term, he walks into the hotel room and he wants to rekindle this relationship romantically. She denies. Especially because there's just another strange woman sitting in the corner of the room. Her name is Wanda. But her name's not really Wanda because she's an FBI undercover agent. And so she's sitting there and she's like, oh, I'm just a friend of your ex-girlfriend. Do you want to smoke crack? Mayor Barry is like, no. She then asks him again,
That's
are you
crazy.
sure you don't want to smoke crack? He's like, no, I don't want to smoke crack. And then she brings it up again and again. And finally, Mayor Barry picks up the crack pipe, inhales twice.
I always did that. Yes, you
That's crazy.
I always did it.
And a second later, the door is kicked open. FBI agents, DC police, they arrest Mayor Barry, to which he responds, and this is now the viral quote, goddamn bitch set me up like this. Set me up, ain't that a bitch?
Fucked up a beer with this goddamn bitch set me up like this. Set me up, ain't that a bitch? Calm down.
Those are
That is,
his words.
isn't that
And
entrapment
that's why
though?
people love Mayor Barry, okay? People love Mayor Barry. And then he looks
But they
at...
did set him up.
They
Yeah.
literally said it. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't even know how this is not entrapment. It's just straight up entrapment at this point.
That's
She
crazy.
asked so many times, are you sure you don't want to smoke crack?
So why the fucking girlfriend sold out like that?
I think they were scaring her. I think they were scaring the shit out of her. Now, I do want to know,
crazy.
Mayor Barry did a lot of drugs. It is a truth. He's done a lot of drugs, all various sorts of drugs. This
Why?
was a
They
huge
set him up
scandal
like that.
back then because the press is racist. So first of all, the setup itself is disturbing. I think it's entrapment. And then instead of the articles afterwards just saying, oh my gosh, our mayor was caught doing drugs, which would have been the headlines had a white mayor been caught doing cocaine, there is the persistent racism of a black man smoking crack, which, by the way, I just want to note that there is a sentencing ratio of 100 to 1 between crack and powder cocaine, which technically the molecule high is the same thing, which means if you have 2 sugar packets of crack, you get a mandatory 5-year prison sentence. Meanwhile, you'll probably see an influencer do more than that of cocaine in a Carbone or Nobu bathroom on any given Saturday night. So in order to get a mandatory 5-year sentence for cocaine, you need to have over a pound of cocaine. Perhaps the more cleanly, morally indisputable act is that he tried to rekindle his relationship with his ex in the hotel room while he's married, and his wife did support him through the entire trial. So anyway, he goes to jail for 6 months in federal prison, and once he's released, he runs for mayor again, and he wins.
He's
That's
back.
crazy.
Yeah, he's back.
back.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.